My neighbor threw a suit jacket into my doorway and told me to put it on. The scent of expensive jasmine hit me a second before the fabric did. The hanger bumped my doorframe because her hands were shaking so hard. I stood there with sawdust on my knuckles and my drill belt hanging off one hip, wearing a gray t-shirt with a pale smear of pine across the chest. Afternoon light came in behind me and turned the dust in the air into gold. I looked like I had just walked off a job site, because I had. She looked like trouble wrapped in perfume. "Put this on, please," Elena said. Her eyes kept jumping past my shoulder toward the street, as if she expected a car to roll up to the curb at any second. She was already stepping into my small living room before I could answer. She smelled like jasmine, and something sharper under it, like cold metal after rain. "Elena, what is going on?" I asked. "My dad is coming," she said in a rush. "He is in town. He thinks I am failing." She tried to laugh, but it came out thin. "I need you to look like you belong here," she said. Then her eyes finally locked on mine and stayed. "I need you to be my boyfriend, just for one night, just for dinner." I should have said no. Any smart person would have said no. But this was Elena Morgan, the woman who argued zoning appeals like she was born in a courtroom, the neighbor who walked past my porch in pencil skirts and heels while I fixed broken steps and hauled lumber. Seeing her standing in my doorway with a suit in her arms like it was a life raft did not fit any picture I had of her. I glanced down the hall toward the stairs that led up to her unit. Her porch light was already on even though the sun was still out. "Is he dangerous?" I asked. Her throat moved as she swallowed. "Financially," she said. Then she shook her head like she wanted the word gone. "Just please, I will owe you." "I do not want you to owe me," I replied, and my voice came out more firm than I expected. For half a second, her shoulders dropped, like that answer mattered. I took the jacket from her. The lining was cool and smooth. There was a white dress shirt folded over her arm, too, the kind of shirt that never met a toolbox. "I am not," I started. "You are," she cut in. A small flicker of the usual Elena appeared. "You are tall. You can speak in full sentences. My father will accept at least 2 of those facts." The corner of her mouth almost turned up. Almost. It did not reach her eyes. I wiped my palms down my jeans, trying to push sawdust off skin where it was already ground in. Then I put on the shirt and stepped into the jacket. It fit too well in the shoulders and a little tight across my chest. Elena's gaze dropped for a second, then jumped back up fast, like she caught herself staring. "Okay," she breathed out. "Okay, we can do this." A car horn sounded faint down the street. Elena flinched like someone had snapped a rubber band against her spine. I moved before I thought about it. I reached past her and checked my front door lock, turned the deadbolt twice, and checked the chain, like that small metal piece could keep the world out. Her eyes followed my hand. "If you want this to stop, you say it," I said quietly. "If you want me to leave at any point, I leave. If you want me to tell him we broke up, I tell him. No leverage. No debt." Her lips parted. She nodded once, a small, careful nod. "Thank you," she said. I stepped out onto my porch. The front step creaked under my boot. Loose board. I had meant to fix it yesterday. Elena heard it and shook her head. "Of course your step is loose," she muttered. "It is on the list," I said. "Everything is on your list," she replied, and for a moment her voice turned soft, almost teasing. Headlights swept across the side of the house. Tires touched the curb. Elena's shoulders pulled back. Her face shifted like a mask snapping into place. "Okay," she whispered. "Boyfriend." I opened the front door. Her father climbed out of the rental car with the calm speed of a man who never rushed because he never had to. Silver hair, long coat that cost more than my truck, expression set at polite disappointment. He looked at the house like it was a project that had already failed inspection. Elena walked down the steps to meet him. She moved like she was entering a courtroom, chin up, shoulders back, smile sharp. "Dad," she said, "you are early." "I dislike being late," Arthur replied. Then his gaze slid past her and landed on me. It paused just long enough to measure, then moved on. Elena turned and laid her hand on my arm. A small, deliberate touch. A signal. "Dad, this is Liam," she said. "He is with me." Arthur's eyebrows rose a little. "Liam," he repeated, testing the name. I stepped forward and held out my hand. His grip was cool and firm. "Elena tells me you work in property," he said. Elena's fingers tightened on my sleeve. "Exterior work," I said in an easy tone. "Landscaping, carpentry, whatever keeps a place standing up straight." Arthur's smile did not touch his eyes. "How practical," he said. Inside Elena's house, everything felt different from mine. No tools on the counter, no nails in mugs, no dust in the corners. It smelled like citrus cleaner and her jasmine perfume. The living room was tidy, books stacked in neat rows, a thick binder on the coffee table labeled in her careful handwriting. Zoning Board Appeal. Arthur looked around the room like he was reading it. His eyes landed on a framed graduation photo of Elena in a cap and gown, then on the binder. "You are still working on weekends," he said. "It is a busy season," Elena replied. "And now you have time for this," he said, his gaze sliding to me. Elena shifted closer. Her hip brushed mine, another cue. "Stay close." I stayed. Dinner felt like an ambush with nice plates. The food was from some fancy place downtown. Duck, potatoes, asparagus lined up like soldiers. The china belonged to her grandmother. Arthur sat at the head of the table. Elena sat to his right. I sat next to her, close enough that our knees touched under the table. Arthur cut his food in small, exact movements. "So," he said, "tell me about your business, Liam." I took a sip of water, felt the chill of the glass in my hand, and met his eyes. "Small company," I said, "mostly homes. Yards, porches, repairs, sometimes small builds." "Porches?" Arthur repeated, like the word tasted strange. "Charming." Under the table, Elena's foot nudged mine, a warning. Arthur turned back to her. "You are up for senior partner next month," he said. Elena's shoulders lifted, then settled. "Yes." "A title is nothing without leverage," he said. "The buy-in is $500,000. It keeps people serious." "The money is in the trust," Elena said quietly. "You know that." Arthur smiled in a way that was not warm at all. "I know exactly what I control," he said. Elena's fingers clenched around her fork. I watched her throat move as she swallowed. She kept breathing. I could tell it was work. Arthur's gaze cut back to me. "Elena tells me you are supportive," he said. "I try to be," I answered. "Support is pleasant," he said. "It is not a plan." "Dad," Elena said, sharper now. Arthur lifted one hand, still so calm it made my teeth hurt. "Be realistic, Elena," he said. "While you argue cases in federal court, do you really want to come home to sawdust and broken fingernails? This is not a match. It is a charity project." The table went silent. I felt Elena go rigid beside me. Arthur's tone never rose. That made it worse. I set my fork down slowly, no noise. "It is not charity," I said. "It is work, real work. People stand on what I build." Arthur looked at me like he was reviewing a number on a page. "And people stand on court decisions too," he said. "Only one of those earns respect in the rooms that matter." Elena's chair scraped back an inch. Her body wanted to move. She did not. She took a breath in, held it, let it out. Under the table, I slid my hand toward her and left it open. She found it without looking and squeezed so hard it hurt. I did not pull away. Arthur saw. Of course he did. After dinner, he announced that they would, quote, discuss her priorities. His words, not mine. Elena gave me a too bright smile and asked me to check the porch step. Another signal. Escape route. I went outside into the cool air, grabbed my drill and new screws from my place, and fixed the loose board while their voices floated above me in hard, muffled tones. As the drill bit bit into the wood and the screw pulled the board tight, I felt the vibration run up my arm. Solid. Strong. No more creak. When I tested the step with my full weight, it held without a sound. The house above me did not feel solid yet. Elena's life did not feel solid yet. But the board under our feet was, and for tonight, that was one thing I could control. The porch light hummed above me while I checked the step one more time. Solid. No wiggle. No creak. Just wood that did what it was supposed to do. The screen door opened behind me. "You fixed it," Elena said. Her voice was softer than it had been at dinner. I turned. She stood barefoot on the porch in a thin robe, her hair loose around her shoulders. The jasmine scent came with her, but now it was mixed with tiredness. Her eyes looked like someone had taken an eraser to the shine. "That was the idea," I said. She leaned against the railing and looked at the dark street instead of me. Inside, I could hear the low murmur of Arthur's footsteps moving around her house, up and down, slow and heavy. "He is going to try to control the vote," she said. "For senior partner, he already is." I stayed quiet. Sometimes, silence gives people room to say what they really mean. "If I do not make senior partner, I lose the good cases," she said. "I lose standing. And I lose my buy-in money because he will not release the trust." "The money for the buy-in is all in that trust?" I asked. She nodded, jaw tight. "He loves saying he is proud of me," she said. "Then he keeps the key to everything." I kept my voice low on purpose. "Then we get you through this weekend," I said. "One clean performance. No mistakes." She turned her head finally and looked at me under the porch light. "You are really doing this?" she asked. "I said I would," I replied. Something flickered in her eyes. Fear, maybe. Gratitude, too. "Tomorrow night is the firm's winter gala," she said. "Dad will be there. Partners. Clients. People who decide if I have a future." She paused. "Will you come?" I looked at her porch, at the board under our feet that I had just made steady, at the way she was hugging herself like she was the thing that might break next. "Yeah," I said, "I will come." Her shoulders sagged for half a second. She let out a breath that sounded like she had been holding it since before dinner. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." The next morning I woke up early out of habit. When I walked into Elena's kitchen, Arthur was already at the table with a newspaper spread open like a shield. He wore a pressed shirt and watch that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I made coffee because standing still made me feel useless. I ground the beans, boiled the water, and used the French press I had seen sitting on her counter. Still too clean. I poured a mug and set it in front of him. "You make coffee," he said. "French press," I answered, "takes patience." His eyes flicked to my hands, to the faint line of dried resin near my thumb, to the calluses. He said, and went back to his paper. Elena came down a minute later in a silk robe, hair messy, face pale with no makeup. She stopped at the doorway when she saw us, like she had forgotten we existed together in the same room. Then she straightened her spine, walked in, and poured herself coffee. She sat beside me. Our knees touched under the table. Arthur folded his paper with slow, exact movements. "Elena," he said, "we should discuss the trust." Her fingers tightened around her mug. "I know how it works," she said. "I will not fund mistakes," he said. $500,000 is not a toy." "It is not a toy," she replied. "It is a requirement." "It is a leash," he corrected. "And it keeps you from running in the wrong direction." Her jaw clenched. "I am not running," she said. Arthur's eyes slid to me. "She is," he said. I set my mug down. "With respect, sir, she is sitting right here," I said. He smiled, small and sharp. "How brave," he said. Under the table, Elena's hand found my knee. She squeezed once, not in a romantic way, but like she needed a steady pull to hold on to. The message was simple. "Stay. I will meet you at the gala tonight," he said to her. "Do not be late, and choose something appropriate." "I always do," she said. When he left the room, the silence he left behind felt thick. Elena's breath shook once. I did not say, "Are you okay?" because she was not, and we both knew it. Instead, I stood, opened her cabinet, and pulled out a plate. "What do you have to eat?" I asked. She blinked. "I do not know." "There is yogurt," she said. Her fridge was full of nice things in glass jars. My eyes landed on a container of leftover pasta. I pulled it out, put it in the microwave, and hit start. When it beeped, I set the plate and a glass of water in front of her. I picked up the thick zoning binder from the table and set it on the counter out of her reach. "Eat first," I said. "The zoning board can wait." "You cannot." Her throat moved as she looked down at the steaming pasta, then up at me. "Okay," she whispered. She picked up her fork. As she ate, her shoulders lowered 1 small inch at a time, like each bite let go of a little of the weight. That afternoon, she came to my place. Not with panic this time. No hanger, just a thick folder pressed to her chest. Her hair was pinned back, her sleeves rolled up like she meant to fight something she could not punch. My living room still looked like a work site. Drop cloth stacked against one wall, a toolbox open on the floor, wood dust on everything, no matter how often I wiped it. Elena stepped over a coil of extension cord and set the folder on my table. "Show me your permit packet," she said. I pulled my stack of city forms, notices, stamps, and rough sketches from a drawer and slid them toward her. I had been slowly working on a plan to add a small workshop in the backyard. The plans were good, but the paperwork gave me a headache. Elena uncapped a pen and went to work. Red ink began to fill the margins. Lines. Arrows. Notes. "This notice period is wrong," she said, tapping one section. "They shortened it. You can appeal on procedure. And if they push you into a variance hearing, we file first. That way, we control the calendar." I blinked at the page. "You did that in 10 minutes, I said. She shrugged. "I do this for a living," she said. When she slid my sketch back to me, it looked like it had been through a storm. But the storm had left it better. Stronger. By late afternoon, she was back in her place getting ready. When I walked up to her door that evening, I almost forgot how to knock. She opened it before I could. The black dress she wore made the air feel thinner. Simple, fitted, strong. Her necklace caught the light when she moved. Her perfume was jasmine again, heavier now, like armor. I stood there in the rented suit she had insisted on. The jacket fit. The vest was a little too tight across my ribs. I felt every breath. Elena stepped closer and fixed my collar, fingers brushing my neck. "You look believable," she said. "That is the goal," I said. She hesitated, then handed me a small box. "Open it," she said. Inside were silver cufflinks, polished to a soft shine. Each one was shaped like a mason's trowel, the kind you use to smooth mortar. I stared. "I asked a jeweler to make them," she said. "Do not laugh." "I am not laughing," I said. My voice came out rough. "Why a trowel?" I asked. "You build things," she said. "You fixed my step." My chest tightened in a way that had nothing to do with the vest. I turned away for a second to put the cufflinks on, mainly so she would not see my face. "Thank you," she said quietly when I turned back. I nodded once. "Let us go survive your gala," I said. The ballroom was a different world. Light poured down from crystal chandeliers onto polished floors. The air smelled like perfume, champagne, and money. People in tuxedos and gowns moved around us in smooth circles. Elena slipped her hand through my arm. Her grip was firm. "Stay close," she said under her breath. "I am right here," I said. Arthur appeared near the bar, talking with a cluster of partners. He held a glass of scotch like it was part of his hand. When he saw us, he smiled in a way that looked warm from far away and cold from where we stood. "Elena," he said, kissing her cheek, "you are on time." "I know," she said. His eyes flicked over me, down to the small silver trowels at my wrists. His gaze hardened for a heartbeat, then smoothed out. "Liam," he said. "Sir," I answered. He looked past me at the crowd. "Try not to embarrass her," he said. Elena's arm tightened around mine. "Dad," she warned. "I am only offering guidance," he said, taking a sip of his drink. We moved through the room, Elena introducing me to people whose names carried titles. Managing partners, board members, clients. I watched her work. She asked smart questions. She listened more than she spoke. She redirected nosy comments away from her father's hooks, with a small laugh and a clean pivot. She was a blade wrapped in silk. A band started playing a slow song. The dance floor filled. Elena's breath caught. "Do we have to dance?" I murmured. "Yes," she said. "Then we do," I said. I led her onto the floor. When my hand settled at her waist, warmth spread through my palm. Her hand rested on my shoulder, fingers spread steady but tense. The tight vest dug into my ribs when I pulled her closer, but I did not care. Her perfume rose between us, jasmine, and something that belonged only to her. "You are doing great," I said quietly. She did not answer with words. She just tightened her hand on my arm, then stepped closer so her shoulder brushed my chest. I felt her heartbeat pick up. "Do not leave me out here," she whispered. "I am not going anywhere," I said. She lifted her eyes to mine, and for a moment the room blurred. The music, the lights, the people, all of it faded. It was just her and the pressure of her hand on my shoulder. Then a voice cut across the dance floor. "Liam, is that you?" My stomach dropped. Mrs. Galloway stood at the edge of the dance floor in a bright, sequined dress, smiling like this was the best surprise of her night. She was one of my regular clients. I mowed her lawn every Thursday and kept her rosebeds from dying. "Well, look at you," she said. "I did not know you were a member here." Her eyes slid from me to Elena. They widened. "Oh, Elena Morgan," she said. "Of course. I have seen your name on the donor list." Beside me, Elena went very still. Mrs. Galloway beamed. "Liam takes care of my yard," she said happily. "He is the best landscaper in the county." I tell everyone that. Quote, behind her, Arthur turned his head, his eyes locked on us. Elena's fingers dug into my shoulder. Mrs. Galloway tilted her head, curious. "Are you two together?" she asked. Elena opened her mouth to answer. "We are together," I said. Mrs. Galloway clapped her hands. "How lovely," she said. "You are very lucky, Elena. He keeps my roses alive, and he is always on time." Arthur started walking toward us. His face was calm, too calm. Elena's breath went shallow. My hand tightened at her waist. I could feel the moment crash toward us, like a wave we could not step away from. Arthur reached us a moment after Mrs. Galloway finished talking. He stood close enough that I could smell his cologne over the champagne and perfume in the air. "Landscaper," he said. The word was soft, almost gentle. It still felt like a verdict. Elena lifted her chin. "Dad," she said in warning. Mrs. Galloway laughed, not seeing the knife she had dropped between us. "Oh, Arthur, work is work," she said. "Liam is wonderful. He trims my roses every Thursday." Arthur's eyes stayed on his daughter. "Elena," he said quietly, "you brought a man who mows lawns into a room that decides your future." I felt Elena's body go rigid under my hand. Her fingers slipped off my shoulder. "Keep smiling," she whispered through her teeth. "Please." "I'm here," I said softly. She forced a small smile for Mrs. Galloway. "If you'll excuse me," Elena said, her voice steady, "I need to use the restroom." She turned and walked off the dance floor. She did not run, but I could see the strain in every step. I watched her disappear into the crowd. Then I slipped off the floor and moved toward the hallway that led to the restrooms. I kept enough distance to give her space, but close enough to be there if she needed me. In the quiet hallway, I found her with both palms pressed flat against the wall. Her forehead rested on the cool paint. Her shoulders rose and fell fast, like she had just run a race. "Elena," I said softly. She turned her head. Her eyes were shiny, but no tears had fallen yet. She was holding them back with everything she had. "He's going to take it," she said. "The trust, the buy-in money. He'll tell the partners I'm unstable. He'll make it sound reasonable." I stepped closer, slow, careful. "Look at me," I said. She lifted her head and met my eyes. You don't lose your entire future because one woman talked loud about mulch, I said. He does not get to decide that by himself. He will, she whispered. These people like him. They listen to him. He knows how to make his control sound like concern. Then we do not let him speak alone, I said. We do not give him the whole stage. That's not how this world works, she said. He talks. They nod. I glanced back toward the ballroom doors where the music still played. Then we give them something else to listen to, I said. She stared at me like I was speaking a different language. What? She asked. I did not hand her a full plan. I gave her something small and simple. I took off my suit jacket and set it around her shoulders. The fabric covered her bare arms and held in a little warmth. Her eyes widened, then softened. I'm going back in, I said. With you or without you. But I'm not letting him corner you when you feel alone. Her breath hitched. Okay, she said. Okay. She wiped under each eye fast with the heel of her hand, steadying herself, then squared her shoulders. The jacket looked wrong over her dress, and somehow it also looked right, like armor that fit. We walked back into the ballroom together. Arthur was standing with the managing partner, a woman named Miss Carlyle, silver hair, sharp eyes, and the kind of posture that makes people move out of her way. Arthur's hand rested lightly on her arm as he spoke. Elena's fingers slid into mine and squeezed hard as we approached. Ms. Carlyle looked up first. Her gaze went from Elena's face to my cufflinks, to our joined hands, then back to Elena. One eyebrow lifted. Elena, Arthur said in a smooth tone. There you are. Miss Carlyle, Elena said. Her voice was calm now. May I borrow you for 30 seconds? Arthur's smile thinned. Elena, now is not. It is, Elena said, still polite but firm, because I would rather control the story than let it run me over. Ms. Carlyle studied her. I'm listening, she said. Elena stepped forward. Her hand squeezed mine once more, then let go. My father is about to suggest that I am making bad personal choices, she said. So I would like to make something clear before he does. Miss Carlyle folded her arms, interested. I'm asking you to judge me by my work, not by the man I date, Elena said. Liam owns a small business. He is applying to upgrade his license. He has a zoning and permit issue that most contractors get wrong. I reviewed his file. I rebuilt his timeline. I found an error in the city's notice period that gives him grounds for appeal. Arthur's jaw tightened. And? Ms. Carlyle asked. And I'm still up for senior partner, Elena said. That means you have seen my case records. You know my wins. Nothing about them changes because my boyfriend prunes roses on Thursdays. The word boyfriend hung in the air like a thrown stone. My chest tightened, but I kept my face neutral. Ms. Carlyle looked from Elena to me, then to Arthur. Arthur, she said lightly, you are charming, but I did not hire you to manage my firm. Arthur's smile stayed on his face, but something cold flashed in his eyes. Elena is very capable, he said. I just want what is best for her. Sometimes what is best comes dressed as control, Miss Carlyle said. I prefer results. She turned back to Elena. You still want that senior partner seat? She asked. Yes, Elena said. No hesitation. Then stop letting men with trust funds scare you, Miss Carlyle said. You've got a hearing next week. Win it. We will talk after. Elena's breath left her in a shaky rush. She nodded. Thank you, she said. Miss Carlyle glanced at me one more time. Nice cufflinks, she said dryly. Thank you, ma'am, I said. She walked away into the crowd. Arthur faced Elena. His voice dropped to a quiet tone meant only for us. You are choosing struggle on purpose, he said. I am choosing myself, Elena replied. He studied her for a long second. Then he looked at me. You are dragging him into it, he said. I am not dragging him anywhere, she said. He is standing next to me. Quote. Arthur's gaze held hers. Then he nodded once, slow, like he was closing a file. Very well, he said. Enjoy your evening. He walked away, leaving the weight of his words behind like smoke. Elena's hand found mine again. It was still shaking, but she did not let go. "You did that," I said softly. She blinked hard. "I did," she said. "You were brave," I said. Her mouth opened. No words came out. Instead, her fingers slid up my lapel and grabbed on like she needed something to anchor her. "Kiss me," she whispered. It sounded like an order and a plea at the same time. I did not grab her. I moved slow. I gave her time to change her mind. She didn't. Her hand curled behind my neck and pulled me the last inch. The kiss hit like a match in a dark room, hot and clear. Her mouth tasted like wine, and something salty at the edge where she had held back tears. I kept my hand firm at her waist, steady, careful, real. For a few seconds, the ballroom fell away. No chandeliers, no partners, no father. Just the press of her lips, the tight grip of her fingers, the rush of her breathing against my skin. When we pulled apart, she stayed close, her forehead resting against mine. "Don't leave," she breathed. "I won't," I said, and for the first time all night, I felt her believe me. The rest of the night felt like I was holding a building up with my hands. After the kiss, we stayed on the edge of the dance floor for a minute, just breathing. The music kept playing. People kept laughing. No one knew the ground had just shifted under us. "Do you want to leave?" I asked. "Yes," she said at once. "We found our coats." I walked her out through the side door, away from the main entrance. The cold air outside hit our faces and cleared some of the noise out of my head. I opened the truck door for her, and she climbed in without a word. The drive home was quiet. City lights slid over her face through the window. Her hands were in her lap, fingers twisting the edge of my jacket where it still hung on her shoulders. "You okay?" I asked finally. She let out a breath. "I stood up to him," she said, "in front of my boss." "That you did?" I said. "He is going to punish me for it," she added. "That too," I said, "but you did it anyway." She turned her head and looked at me. There was fear in her eyes, but there was something else now. Steel. We pulled into the driveway. Arthur was already there, standing beside his rental car under Elena's porch light. His coat was buttoned. His hands were in his pockets. He looked like a man who had been waiting and had decided that meant he owned the ending. Elena's back straightened as soon as she stepped out of the truck. I came around and walked to stand beside her. Not in front of her, not behind. Beside. Arthur watched us come up the walk. His gaze flicked to our joined hands once, then back to her face. "You made your position very clear," he said. His voice was calm. "You will regret it." Elena's fingers tightened around mine. "I would regret letting you decide it for me," she said. "The trust remains mine to control," he reminded her. "I do not release those funds unless I trust your judgment." Quote, "You mean unless I agree with you," she said. He tilted his head a little. "Call it what you like," he said. "If I pull the trust, you delay your buy-in. You will have to borrow, sell assets, take risks. You will spend years climbing back." "I know," she said. Her voice did not shake. "I will climb anyway." His eyes narrowed. "And you will drag him into it," he said, looking at me again. I met his gaze. "She is not dragging me," I said. "I am standing where I chose to stand." He studied me for a long moment. There was no pure anger there, just cold judgment and maybe a thin line of confusion that I did not seem to be scared of him. "You will never fit in her world," he said quietly. "I am not trying to fit into your world," I answered. "I am trying to be good to your daughter." His jaw worked once. He looked back at Elena. "I built that trust to protect you," he said, "to keep you from falling." "You built it to hold the rope," she replied, "so you could pull when you wanted." Silence settled between them. The porch light hummed. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked. For the first time that night, his expression shifted. There was something tired at the edges of his mouth. "You look like your mother when you decide something," he said. Elena's eyes softened for half a second. "She would hate this conversation," she said. "She would," he agreed. He looked at our hands again, then blew out a small breath. "I will not release the funds now," he said. You will have to find a way without them, at least for a while." Elena nodded once. "Okay," she said. He watched her for another beat, as if he wanted to say more, and refused to. "I leave in the morning," he said at last. "Do not make me regret stepping back." "I will not," she said. He opened his car door, got in, and started the engine. The headlights swept across us, across the porch, across the step I had fixed. Then he pulled away from the curb and disappeared down the street. Elena stayed standing until the taillights were gone. Only then did her knees seem to remember how to bend. She let out a long breath that shook at the end. "Come sit," I said. We sat on the porch step together. The board did not creak. It held our combined weight like it was proud of it. The night air smelled like cut grass in someone's fireplace down the block. "I will be right back," I said. I went into my place and came back with a bottle of cheap wine and 2 mismatched glasses. I poured and handed her one. We did not toast. We just sat shoulder to shoulder on the step and took small sips. For a while, neither of us spoke. The quiet did more work than any speech. "I hated needing you," she said finally, still staring at the dark street. I turned my head a little. "You did not need me," I said. "You recruited me." A small sound came out of her throat that almost counted as a laugh. "I dragged you into my mess," she said. "You pulled me into a room I never would have seen," I said. "I think that makes us even." She looked at me then, really looked. Her eyes were tired, but they were clear. "You looked uncomfortable," she said, nodding at the suit. "At the gala." I was, I admitted. "That vest is a weapon." That got a real laugh from her, short and surprised. The sound loosened something in my chest. She leaned in just enough that her shoulder brushed my arm. The jasmine on her skin was softer now, mixed with cold air and cheap wine. I swallowed. "I am scared," I said quietly. Her head turned fast. "Of what?" "That one day you will look around at your world," I said, "at judges and partners and glass buildings, and decide I am too small for it." The words hung out there between us. I did not try to take them back. She did not speak right away. Instead, her hand lifted and slid around the back of my neck, fingers warm against my skin. She pulled me closer until our foreheads touched. "You are not small," she whispered. "You are steady." I let out a breath I had not known I was holding. I did not tell her she was wrong. I did not give a speech about worth. I just pressed a soft kiss to her mouth. This one was slower than the one in the ballroom. Deeper. Less fire, more heat that sinks in and stays. She kissed me back like she had decided something. No hesitation. No hiding. Her finger stayed at the back of my neck like she was done letting go. When we broke apart, we were both breathing a little harder. But the night felt quiet again, not like a performance, just like a life. We sat like that for a while, knees almost touching, shoulders pressed together, passing the bottle between us. Later, when the wine was half gone and the street had gone fully dark, I reached into my jacket pocket. "I was going to wait," I said, "but I am bad at waiting." Elena frowned a little as I pulled out a small box. "Liam," she said, tension jumping into her voice. "It is not a ring," I said quickly, and a rough laugh escaped me. "I am not that reckless." Her shoulders dropped a notch. "Open it," I said, handing it to her. She did. The porch light caught on silver. A second pair of cufflinks, same small trowel shape as the ones on my wrists, but these had a tiny line engraved along the handle. A shallow line, like a level mark. She stared at them. "For the next gala," I said. "Once I finish the workshop out back and get that permit fixed, I am buying my own suit, one that fits. These are for that suit. I am not done walking into your rooms." Her eyes shone again, but this time the tears did not look like fear. They looked like something else. "You are impossible," she whispered. "I am practical," I said. She set the box carefully on the step beside her like it was something fragile. Then she grabbed my collar and pulled me in again. The kiss that followed was not careful or polite. It was real and a little messy, full of everything we had not had time to say while we were performing for other people. When she finally rested her head against my shoulder, her hand stayed wrapped in my shirt like she wanted to make sure I was still there. "I asked you to pretend," she said quietly. "One night, one dinner." "Yeah," I said, her fingers tightened in the fabric. "I do not want you to pretend anymore," she whispered. The porch step did not creak under us. The night did not feel like borrowed space. It felt like the start of something that had its own foundation. Solid, steady, ours.